Blog Talk Radio.
What's going on, folks? It's your boy Long Beach Joe, and I am back at it again. I'm back at it again, man. Listen, we got quite a bit to discuss. Free agency is coming up soon. We're going to be talking about that. Players that the New York Jets, need to possibly keep. But there's been a lot of things moving and shaking surrounding the New York Jets, all right? We have been in the news, okay? From Deion Dawkins bashing the Jets, having a lot to say, calling players out of their names, one of them mainly Michael Clemens, to Mecole Hardman, allegedly, I have to be very careful when I say this, allegedly leaking information, leaking the New York Jets' offensive game plan to the Chiefs and the Eagles. We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about Joe Douglas. Had some things to say at the Combine. One of the things that really stood out was that he's allowing Zach Wilson to seek a trade. He's allowing his agent to go out and see if there's a team that would like to make a move for him. It's starting to heat up here. Also, they're not interested in tagging Bryce Huff. We're going to discuss all of that, okay? I'm hyped up. Listen, 515-602-9629 is the number. Call in. I'm taking all callers. But let me go ahead and start the show. Listen, I'm the man of the people. I'm here for the people. Let me shamelessly promote my Facebook page. Everyone go on Facebook, search The Long Beach Joe Show. Like that page, my comment there. Go ahead and give it a listen. Message me. I'll message you right back. I love going back and forth with you folks about this football team. Also, leave me some feedback. I love hearing about what you folks think I do here on the Long Beach Joe Show. Oh, yeah, I do. I want to thank everyone and let everyone know that I truly appreciate you for your feedback and everyone that checks out the content. All right. I'm also on Twitter as well. Going over to Twitter, type in @The Long Beach Joe, @The Long Beach Joe on Twitter. Okay. When you do that, we can go back and forth. I have a lot of fun over there, going back and forth with a lot of Jets fans, getting in arguments, as I often do. Okay. Personal is @YoungJ000. @YoungJ00 is my personal Twitter page. We can argue on that as well if you like. I've gone back and forth with a lot of Jets fans about a lot of things recently, okay? And we've been, definitely hashing things out. I am also on iTunes as well, for those of you that may not know. Go on over to iTunes, okay? Type in The Long Beach Joe Show, The Long Beach Joe Show on iTunes. Subscribe to the podcast on there. Give me a 5-star rating, and let me know what you folks feel about what I'm doing here on the show by way of leaving feedback over there as well. And again, I want to thank, everybody that listens to me, period, because I'm always going back and forth with a lot of people and having discussions, but especially my overseas listeners. They continue to show love and continue to tell me about how much they enjoy the discussion. So I want to thank everybody, but again, especially my overseas folks, Jets brothers and sisters. That's what I'm all about. I just want to connect with Jets fans and have a good time. So that's what I do. And embrace debate, okay? So I embrace debate. But for those of you that may not know, okay, you listen to the show, via the podcast or however you, take in this content. I am also on YouTube as well, okay? Come on over to YouTube, okay? Type in Long Beach Joe Jets on YouTube. Subscribe to the show. Hit that notification bell so when I post content, you folks will be in the know, all right? When you hit that notification bell, hit all, okay? So you'll get all the content. And come on and check your boy out. Also, give the streams and the videos thumbs up. Got content over there, all right? Some people don't know that. And then they check me out. They say, whoa, Joe, you look good. Wow, we didn't know it was just, great takes. You're a very handsome man. Listen, thank you, ladies, okay? I appreciate you, all right? I'm not an arrogant guy. I'm not cocky. I'm just here, just trying to talk Jets and having fun with everybody. So, again, Long Beach Joe Jets on YouTube. Please subscribe. But just know that when you come over here, man, you're going to have to deal with some people, okay? They're the chat. I call my chat the Savages. You want to know why? Because they're savage. Oh, yeah. It's crazy. All right. Salutes to all the Savages in the chat. Dakota, I see you. Salutes in the building. All the Savages watching, listening from wherever you're at. Salutes and respect to all of you, okay? Nobody's safe. Nobody is safe, okay, from the Savages. Not even me. Not even me. I'm keeping it all the way real with you. If they don't like your take, they're going to let you know, okay? So with all that said now, as we continue to move forward, I want to start talking about everything we got going on with the Jets. And the place that I want to start first is with Mecole Hardman. Boy, oh boy, okay? Mecole Hardman went on a podcast called The Pivot, hosted, by a couple of great, former NFL players, Ryan Clark, Crowder, Fred Taylor. Like, man, those guys are great players, right? And they do a great job over there at The Pivot as well. And, salutes and respect to everything that they do. But Mecole sat down and was talking to them about various things, okay? And, of course, they asked him about his time here with the New York Jets. And, he definitely let it be known that, he was not happy with his time here. And he had quite a bit of things to say. And I want to talk about I want to talk about this, but I want to let you folks hear a quick snippet of some things that he had to say that were, quite a bit eye-opening, all right? So here's the audio from The Pivot. Let me let you guys hear this.
And I just feel like it's not established.
What went wrong with the Jets? They trade you. What went wrong there?
Y'all treat certain guys that shouldn't be treated like they should be treated. And I just feel like it's not an established coaching staff there as well. Like, you just got a new coaching staff that came in. There's no standard there. It's like everybody do what they want to do. And defense have a more of a stabilized standard with the coaching staff on that side. So you would tell the defense got a standard, but the offense is just like, all right, we'll just figure it out. It's an Aaron show. Let Aaron do what Aaron do, you know what I mean? But then when Aaron go down, it's like, we don't know what to do. But this is that same coach staff that just was out of a job the previous year and then averaged get a new job. I know for a fact I'm better than him for sure. Like, I ain't trying to, I know I'm better than him too. Garrett Wilson, the only person y'all should just be like, hey. So I have no problem with y'all putting around Garrett Wilson for sure. I don't care. Like, that's fine. But when it comes to certain other things, it's like, come on, like, I don't understand why I'm not in the rotation with that. And y'all never gave me a reason as to why either. This my thing was, y'all can't tell me about winning. I've been to 4 Super Bowls in 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Now, you feel me? But beforehand, I've been to 4 AFC championships. I've been to 3 Super Bowls. I've won 2 of them. Like, I know what winning looks like.
Right.
I know what winning is. So y'all keep telling me certain things. It's like, I'm not going for that. Like, because y'all not doing it right. Like, we got hammers on the ground. We don't got no discipline. People feel like it's too many individual egos in this locker room or whatever. And I'm telling them, like, this not going to get y'all to win. It's not going to happen.
Now, as you folks heard there from that audio, from what Mecole said on The Pivot there, we've heard quite a bit of those things, right? We heard quite a bit of those things and, from leaks in the past. And to be completely honest, I'm not saying that Mecole Hardman was the leak or was the leak from that standpoint, but man, a lot of the things that he said, honestly, were verbatim from articles that we heard that said that they had informants from within the New York Jets facility. Some of them saying that they had informants from within the locker room that were telling them things like that. Okay? Now, again, we've heard a lot of the things that he's saying, the lack of adjustments, coaching-wise, and we saw that as well. We clearly saw Nathaniel Hackett struggled, especially once Aaron Rodgers went down. We saw him struggle to adjust his game plan to Zach Wilson. We saw him struggle to integrate, certain players within the offense, Mecole Hardman being one of them. But there were other things that he said as well that were kind of surprising to me. Him talking about, just the sloppiness, helmets on the ground, letting people know, hey, this is not how you win, because whether you like it or not, Mecole Hardman has, with the Chiefs at least, has been on the team that knows win. So those are some of the things that hopefully the New York Jets are going to clean up this upcoming season, especially with Aaron Rodgers back. But he did say some things that were eye-opening, okay, that were definitely eye-opening. He talked about Xavier Gibson, being a guy that definitely stepped up into a role, especially as a returner. And he talked about how his relationship with Brent Boyer kind of went south because of Gibson, being called into being a returner. As we know, Xavier Gibson stepped up this year, gave us something from a return standpoint, not just from a return standpoint, but also, from a receiver position as well. We saw him catch some footballs, really step into a role, really get better, really do his thing, and push Mecole kind of down, the hall in spots where maybe he would have been utilized, right? So when you look at the situation, Mecole talked about how he was asked to step in and return some punts because Xavier Gibson was dealing with an injury. And because Brent Boyer hadn't talked to him throughout the week about doing this, he told Brent Boyer no. That's what he told him. Then when Sulla comes to him and says, hey, we need you to return punts, what's up? He told Sulla, listen, I'm not doing it. Brent Boyer asked me. I told him no because I don't like, how he coaches and how he came at me. My mind was not on, being a returner this week. So I'm not doing that. And that was kind of eye-opening to me because, again, we had been told and we, kind of seen Xavier Gibson really step into the role. And even when he was traded, we heard Joe Douglas come out and talk about how Gibson, stepping into the role really kind of allowed them to move on from Mecole. But you also got to think if you're a coach, right, and you're within that coaching staff, and you have Mecole telling you that he's not going to do something, how much did that hurt his role there, right? How much did that hurt his role? I bet you that absolutely played a role in him getting up out of here as well, okay? Now, he also talked about something else that was very eye-opening as well. Mecole, on the pivot, said that he could not stand to be on the Jets so much at one point. He contacted the Chiefs' locker room. He contacted their front staff, right, their staff. He called the Chiefs, and he let them know, okay, their general manager and all those guys. He let them know, hey, make a trade for me. Get me up out of here. Please come and get me. Let me go. I want to come back to the team. The reason why this is so eye-opening is because that's tampering. You can't do that in the NFL, bruh. That's literally illegal, man. So it's like, okay, so you're just going to sit up here and admit that you contacted the Chiefs to make a trade for you, before we eventually moved on from him. Now, again, all of this that's just coming out now, I'm very sure that this was unbeknownst to the New York Jets at the time. But, wow, instead of just closing his mouth and moving forward, Mecole Hardman decides to come out, dump on the Jets, and then spiel, right, that he had contacted the Chiefs on his way to move on. Insane. Now, after this pivot situation and all the things that were talked about, all of a sudden, we start to see different things come about as well with this on the spin. And it came in the form of players, right, that were on the team coming out and kind of speaking to this situation. One of them, the first one, was Thomas Morstead, okay, a punter that we all know really did great work for the New York Jets this season, okay, and we hoping to have him re-sign and come back. Now, Morstead sent out a tweet, okay, and I'm going to read this tweet verbatim. Morstead says, "Be careful getting information from disgruntled former employees. Getting beat out by a rookie free agent after being guaranteed millions of dollars is tough to deal with. Entitlement is a killer of opportunity. You have to earn it every year." Now, clearly, this was a response to Mecole Hardman and what he had to say in the pivot, right? Okay. Morstead, veteran guy, been in this league for a long time, stepping up and defending his team and defending his guys from what Mecole was trying to say. Then it continues on, right? This is where it starts to really heat up. Now, we already got the tampering. We already got you saying that you had turned down things that the Jets coaching staff told you to do. Okay. Well, then Kenny Yeboah responds to this situation as well. Kenny Yeboah quote tweets. he quote tweets Thomas Morstead and the quote that I just read. And he responds to it, okay, by saying, I like this, OG. He says, hey, I like this. I like what you had to say and how you cleaned him up, right? Well, then a person comes and speaks to him in the comments as well and says, hey, Kenny, how do you feel about Mecole? Well, Yeboah doesn't hold back. And as a guy, that we all know, especially players on this team, okay, NFL players as a whole, but definitely players on this team, they don't, they don't open up like that. Unless it's something they really feel is in their heart, they do not let it go, okay, so quick, especially in this market. Well, Kenny Yeboah did just that. Kenny Yeboah says about Mecole Hardman after being asked, he responds, he's tripping out. He ain't talk about his own work ethic. He ain't talk about his own work ethic and how the Georgia Eagles got our game plan. Excuse me, sir? What did you just say? Excuse me. The Georgia Eagles got our game plan? Interesting. Very interesting. Now, you could just look at that situation and go, okay, well, you know what? That's just Kenny Yeboah, right? Only Yeboah had something to say about that. No. No. Because Sauce Gardner also tweets as well. He tweeted it and then deleted it, okay? But we've seen it. Sauce Gardner tweets, and this is after Yeboah. Sauce Gardner tweets, we ain't going to talk about how our offensive game plan got leaked versus the Eagles, though. Now, it seems as if, to me, and clearly to everyone else, that there are Jets players that clearly have an idea that Mecole Hardman leaked the New York Jets offensive game plan to not only the Eagles, but there's also talks that he leaked it to the Chiefs as well. Wow. I mean, wow. Right? How much? That is disgusting. Okay? Now, again, this is all alleged. This is all alleged. Okay? But it's interesting that Kenny Yeboah talked about the Georgia Eagles because we know that in Georgia, he went there. And I'm sure he's very tight with a lot of Georgia players. And what I will say is there's a lot of Eagles players, okay? There's quite a bit of Eagles players, especially some that they recently drafted. That's from Georgia. That's all I'm going to say, okay? Now, what's kind of surprising about that, right, is the Eagles, we beat them this year. That was one of the bigger wins of the season. The team performed very solidly. And even against the Chiefs, right, that was one of Zach Wilson's, premier games. I just find it very interesting to now hear about all these things from Mecole Hardman, to hear about how he felt his time here went, to hear about how he contacted the Chiefs, which, again, is tampering, and I hope that the New York Jets front office contacts the NFL and they look into that. And I find it very interesting that a couple of players are coming out and saying that he's leaked information to teams. Now, he has come out, okay? He has come out and kind of backtracked his statements, especially about, specifically about the Chiefs, about him contacting the Chiefs. He said, hey, that's not something that I would do, all right? Now, what I find interesting is that there's so many players, especially, again, Sauce Gardner is not some, small-time guy, okay? Why would these guys be coming out and saying that you're doing this? Now, again, he's also came out and addressed that as well, calling them false accusations about him and his character, and that he would never leak game plans to other teams, and that he's all about, making sure that you win no matter the cost. He's never going to help an opponent or give an opponent the upper hand. So, allegedly, right? Allegedly, he leaked game plans to the Chiefs and the Eagles. But what I do find extremely interesting as well, outside of tampering, outside of the leaks, the questions surrounding him and leaks, is how a lot of the things that he said sounded like they came directly out of those articles that were written. Very interesting. I will say that. So, Mecole Hardman, man, he's out of here, though. He's with the Chiefs, and he caught that last football and got him a Super Bowl. He's got himself another ring there. But, man, if it's true that he's the guy that was leaking and doing all that stuff, I am so glad that he's out of the New York Jets facility. I am so glad. Beyond myself happy. Because the last thing you want is a guy like that in your facility. All right? As we continue to move on, and we'll be talking about that again, 515-602-9639. 515-602-9639 is the number. Call in. We're taking all callers. I'll get to the lines in just a second. We got quite a bit to cover. The New York Jets have also released Laken Tomlinson as well, for those of you that may not know. The Jets released Laken, and they saved $8.1 million on the cap. Now, there was a lot of fans that I had discussions with that were upset about this situation. They were upset about Laken being moved on from. They said, Joe, hey, listen, that opens up another hole along our offensive line. And I'm like, did you guys watch the games? Because if you did, that hole was there whether he was here, whether he was going to be cut or actually playing, because he was so bad. Laken Tomlinson was a terrible left guard here. And don't try to sell me, okay? Don't try to sell me that Laken Tomlinson was bad because of Keith Carter. No, he's bad way before Keith Carter, okay? He was bad the day we got him. The first game, he was getting torched. Now, keep in mind, there was a time where we were more concerned about the right side of the offensive line. We were concerned about AVT at the time being over at right guard for the first time in his career. We were concerned about that right tackle spot with Max Mitchell, right? We were concerned about those things. But we quickly saw that the concern should not be on the right side, and it should absolutely be on the left side, because those are the guys that were getting cooked. And Laken was one of the guys that was getting bullied and pushed around over there, straight into a quarterback's lap. I remember it like it was yesterday. So I don't have a problem with the New York Jets moving on from Laken Tomlinson. Not at all. What it does do is it allows the New York Jets to take that $8.1 million and move forward and better this football team with that money and with those spots. Now, I will tell you this, though. This does open up an opportunity for Vera Tucker to possibly move back to left guard and stay at left guard for the season. That's something that I would like to see, because Vera Tucker, we've seen him all over the place. Left tackle, right tackle. Started at left guard, played right guard as well. Only thing he didn't play on the team, only thing he hasn't played is center. I don't think he hasn't played center yet, but I'm very sure that he could do that as well, right? But I want to see him put in the spot and stay there. And I think left guard, with that now clearly opening up because we're moving on from Laken, I think would be a good move for AVT. I know there's a lot of people talking about moving him or keeping him at right guard, or even moving him back out to right tackle. If anything, I want to see him stay in the interior, whether it be right guard, but definitely I'd like to see him move back to left guard and kept there for the rest of this season. And again, there's some guards as well that the New York Jets could end up going after in free agency, which is coming up, okay, that I think are going to be out there or could be out there that could definitely help the New York Jets interior of their offensive line, which we need to do because, again, if we have Super Bowl expectations, right, if that's what we have this upcoming season, then guess what? We're going to need to protect Aaron Rodgers. That's what you're going to have to do. Because if you don't, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Okay? Ezra Cleveland from the Jags, I think, would be great for us. Kevin Zeitler from the Ravens, I think, would be nice. Robert Hunt from the Dolphins. Kevin Dotson from the Rams. Those are all guys that the New York Jets can end up targeting that I think would be great moves for us. Okay? Great moves for us. So, it's very, very interesting to see what's going on here and see how the New York Jets are going to address that offensive line position. So I hope Joe Douglas is going to be able to get things done. Now, as we continue to talk about this team, because the Jets have so many things going on. They have so much happening, man. All right. Joe Douglas actually sat down and spoke with the media at the Combine. Okay. He had quite a bit to say, man. Had quite a bit to say. He started off by talking about the comments that Mecole Hardman made. Okay, he said that the comments that Mecole Hardman made about contacting the Chiefs definitely resonated with him. Okay, and I think when he says that, that the comments resonated with him, I think he's saying, he's definitely going to be looking to contact the NFL about tampering, as he should. Now, that's what I believe he's saying, okay? As he should, because that is egregious, okay? So I'm hoping that he does go forward and contact the NFL, and I hope they do an investigation and, see if they can slam the Chiefs with something there, because that's egregious, okay? He also talked about Woody Johnson, as we know that Woody Johnson came out this offseason and recently and talked about his frustrations with the team. He did rip into Zach Wilson, which he should not have done, okay? And we'll talk about Zach Wilson in just a second. But he did rip into Zach Wilson, saying, hey, we need a backup quarterback. Woody. But Woody Johnson also did talk about his frustrations here. Okay, talked about his frustrations with last season, the way things turned out, and, basically made it known that Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas, they got to get things together or, there can be some changes. Now, he didn't say that there was going to be a playoff mandate or nothing, but he did say, they've got to win more games than just what they won this year. Now, Joe Douglas, okay, at the Combine, when he sat down with the media, he said that he mirrored Woody's frustration, with the way that the season ended and how everything went throughout the season. He also talked about how, the position that they're in, okay, and we all know this is the New York Jets, right? This is a franchise that is in a media hotbed. Everybody, we haven't won in a while, all those things. We all know that, right? And he said inherently that comes with pressure. But they're going to continue to move forward. They're going to continue to pound. They're going to continue to push to do whatever they need to do to make sure that this team is prepared and gets it done. They need to get it done. He did. He talked about, hey, we can't just keep talking about it. We got to finish. We got to go out there and produce. He also talked about how he identifies, they clearly identified what's wrong. They know that what's wrong with the team, and they've got to fix it. So they have, a clear set. Clearly, it must be a clear set plan to attack certain position groups to continue forward and make this team better. And I think that clearly the biggest position group that they're going to attack is going to be the Jets' offensive line. I know a lot of people, clearly, we all watch the Jets week in and week out. Our offensive line is putrid. And I think that if you look at what our offense showed us last year, is that if you do not have a functioning offensive line that can hold the fort and protect your quarterback, adequately, your offense will fall off of a cliff. Okay? Your offense will fall off of a cliff. All right? So I think that's a position that they're going to address, and we'll see how things move forward with that. Also, Joe Douglas, speaking at the Combine, also talked about Bryce Huff. We've all been wondering about Bryce Huff and what's going on with him. We've all been wondering this, okay? How are they going to handle his situation? We know that he's up for a contract. We know that he's, really graded out as one of the top pass rushers in the league. He's getting after it. This guy can move, all right? And he's a Jet. He's a real Jet, a guy that we brought in, undrafted free agent. We all know what Bryce Huff has been able to do here, and every year he's just gotten better and better and better. 10.5 sacks this year, led the New York Jets in sacks. So when asked about Huff in the situation, Joe Douglas says that the Jets' plans as of now, okay, he said the Jets' plans as of now are not to franchise Huff. He said that they will have productive talks in the future. Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy, let me tell you something. I hope and pray that Joe Douglas takes care of this situation with Huff. Okay, now keep in mind, the Jets have until March 5th to place that tag, the franchise tag, on Huff if they decide to go that way, because he did say as of now, okay? Maybe things change. But as of now, they have until March 5th to place that franchise tag on Bryce Huff if they decide to change their minds, okay? Now, that franchise tag will carry a $21.3 million charge, okay? Now, you look at this situation, man. I would love to see Bryce Huff stay a New York Jet, okay? And the reason why I would like to see him stay a New York Jet is because if we have Super Bowl expectations and we truly want to compete with these teams in the AFC that are just monstrous, right? You look at the litany of great quarterbacks that's in the AFC, right? I can just name a couple off the top of my head. I'm sure y'all can go crazy in chat. Salutes to all the Savages, J.E., Dakota, you know, everybody that's in here, man. You know what I'm saying? All the Savages going back and forth. Todd, Seth, Jay, salutes, all right? Listen, you got, I mean, Josh Allen is in our division. You got Herbert. You got C.J. Stroud, who's a young guy, clearly that's looking like he is going to be a beast as his career continues, right? All these other guys, Joe Burrow, I mean, Lamar Jackson. I can keep naming names, but we all know, right? The final boss, the final boss, right? The big man on top of the mountain, Patrick Mahomes. If you do not have a pass rush, right, a consistent, adequate pass rush to get after him, you're going to lose. And you're going to lose every time. We've seen this, right? Especially, and this is what blows my mind when I speak to so many Jets fans about this situation, is because for years, we didn't have a pass rush. For years. I remember after John Abraham, there was like a decade where there was really nobody that we could consistently lean on to be a pass rusher here, okay? And we saw how that hurt us. We saw how we couldn't get to quarterbacks. They would have 40 minutes to throw the football against us, 40. I remember there was one year I went to MetLife and I watched Russell Wilson with a jacked up knee literally torch the Jets. He threw for like over 300 yards. And when I tell you, I sat in my seat at MetLife, and I watched him have the most comfortable time doing so. It was insane. There was no one that could get to him at all. At all. And this was during the Bowles era when there was no consistent pass rusher. There was no one that can get after it. He had a field day against us. Had a field day. And we couldn't get after him at all. And so when I look at this situation, I say to myself, and I'm reminded of those times, and I watched this guy come in here and have 10.5 sacks, double-digit sacks for us. And I'm looking at the situation here, and I'm saying, Joe Douglas has to find a way to get this guy re-signed. He has to find a way. I'm thinking anywhere from 17 to 19 million is going to get you Bryce Huff and keep him here for years to come. And I believe that the New York Jets must do that. Because if you're talking about winning a Super Bowl, I just talked about Patrick Mahomes. I want this to be very clear. Don't think he's the only guy that can shred you. Because Joe Burrow, he'll take you to school as well. You don't get pressure on him. Good Lord, goodness gracious, Lamar Jackson. Whoa. Play around with Lamar Jackson and don't get a pass rush on him and see how he'll throw for 700 yards against you. See how he does it, right? Because after Bryce Huff, right, you have Jermaine Johnson, who's a great player. He's a very good player. Pro Bowler. He had 7.5 sacks this year, right? He's going to have double-digit sacks next season if Bryce Huff is gone, if his impact is gone. But then after Jermaine Johnson, there's a lot of question marks, right? The next guy that we're hoping to really take that next step forward will be Will McDonald. Just drafted him, right? But can you really say that Will McDonald is ready to step up and have double-digit sacks next season? I don't know if you can at this point. Will McDonald, you look at his rookie year, he was deactivated for a bunch of games, right? Play was a bit up and down. And again, he's a rookie. You're going to see that. Plays up and down. I think he only had like 3 sacks this year. You're going to be asking that guy to come in and get you double-digit sacks. and consistent pressure, and he has to, right? He has to in year 2 with Super Bowl expectations. That's a lot to put on him, man. That's a lot to put on him. That's a lot. Okay? And honestly, after those two guys, if Huff is let go, after those two guys, you don't have anything consistent there pass rusher wise. Don't try to sell me on John Franklin Myers, because John Franklin Myers is not a consistent pass rusher. And we all know that because there was a season, the first year, we got Carl Lawson. He got injured and was down for the year. We tried to depend on John Franklin Myers, and we couldn't. He would disappear in games. So I think that letting Huff go would hurt the New York Jets, but especially letting him go for nothing would hurt the Jets. If you cannot get a deal done, and I'll come to the chat in just a second. Salutes to all the savages in the chat, okay? I'll come to y'all in just a second. If you can't get a deal done with Huff, if you cannot get him signed, you damn sure better franchise that man and work out a trade. Don't let him walk out the door for free. Don't do that. Do not do that. That would be catastrophic. If you just let him walk out the door, sign with another team, and then you end up struggling during this season trying to get consistent pass rush on quarterbacks in the AFC. That would suck. And that would absolutely put a light on Joe Douglas and Sulla, on this staff, especially if the Jets don't perform. That could definitely put them on the road to being up out of here. Salutes to GVH. I see you in the chat, Savage. GVH says, "What are we doing with our D-line this upcoming year will be interesting. But losing Huff, restructuring John Franklin Myers, or losing all of our interior guys minus Williams, we will struggle to get to the QB without a rotation." That's exactly what I'm saying. And when you look at all these guys that we're going to be facing, all these offenses, if you come in with a three-headed monster, right, with a Huff that we've seen already 10.5, you're thinking he's definitely going to get better this next upcoming season, right? Jermaine Johnson really taking the next step as well. And then you got Will McDonald really taking that next step forward to really add the push, add the boost to the pass rush as well. You come in with a three-headed monster, you're definitely going to be able to really compete with these top teams. You're going to be able to do that. And I say that because if you look around this league, right, even if we just stay in our division, there's a reason why the Bills went out and got Von Miller. There's a reason why they did that. It was because they seen with the mountaintop who's up there. They've seen it, okay? They were a team that was competing and still can compete to be in a Super Bowl, okay? They were one of the teams that were thought as a team that could absolutely compete to be in a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. And they kept matching up with these Chiefs, and they said, you know what, we gotta do more. And they already had Rousseau and Ed Oliver, and we can keep naming the names over there that get after the quarterback. They had a good pass rush already. They were blitzing consistently, and they said, you know what, bruh, to deal with this guy Mahomes up there in Kansas City, that's not enough. We got to get more. Our cup must run its over. Okay? And so they went and got Von Miller. They paid him to come in and be that guy to get after the quarterback. Okay? So letting go of Huff, I just don't think it's a good move. And again, if you can't get a deal done for whatever reason, because again, it is free agency, I understand. 857, I'll be coming to you in just a second. Okay? Other callers, new callers, hold on. Okay. Again, 515-602-9639. Also put your thoughts in the chat. I'll be coming to y'all. I understand that this is free agency. I get it. Okay. And I get that, especially a pass rusher the ilk of Huff is definitely going to get a lot of attention. If you just cannot get a deal done because the numbers are just wild, and I'm sure that they're all, they're doing their due diligence, and they know what teams around the league are looking to offer him. They know that there's going to be teams that are coming out that might just blow the doors off the joint. If that's what's happening, then the least you can do is franchise this guy and try to at least get a second-round pick back for him. Do something so that he does not walk away from your building, right, so that he does not walk away from your building and you end up with nothing. You end up with nothing, and you let a really good pass rusher in this league slip right out of your midst. I'm telling you, that would be really bad. Really, really bad. That would be really bad for the Jets, especially if the Jets pass rush struggles next season and Huff is gone. Oh, brother, you will have Jets fans, I'm telling you, screaming, ready to jump off the roof. All right? So the final thing I'm going to talk about here, and again, we'll get to the lines, 515-602-9639. 515-602-9639 is the number. Call in. We're taking all callers. Zach Wilson. Oh, baby. Zach Wilson. Joe Douglas talked about him as well, all right? Now, Joe Douglas sat down again with the meeting. He was talking with them about different things on the team. And when asked about Zach Wilson, he made it very short and sweet. He said that the New York Jets, him and the team, have given Zach Wilson's agent permission to seek a trade. I know this is interesting, okay? It's interesting for a few reasons. One is because it starts to make you think, right, immediately when I hear, wow, they're allowing him to seek a trade, right? What exactly is Zach Wilson's trade value? And I'm racking my brain, and I'm like, what could it be? Like, what exactly, could teams look at him and say, hey, we'll give the Jets something? Now, ESPN did come out and say that they had talked to various NFL execs, and the feedback that they got wasn't very good, right? That Zach Wilson is not valued around the league. Of course, we all know that because it's been very up and down with Zach Wilson. Even this season, he had some flashes. That Chiefs game, some people argue that the Chiefs game this year is the best game he's ever played since he's been here. That Zach Wilson that we saw in that Chiefs game could be a top quarterback in this league. But the problem is that Chiefs game wasn't consistent, right? Very up and down. And people talk about a lot of different things from protection to whatever else, right? But the results have not been consistent. Solid results have not been consistent, right? So what exactly is this trade value? I believe they're in that ESPN piece, they said one NFL executive said that he would give away, I think it was a week stay at the Best Western for Zach Wilson. And many of them said that they weren't fans of him. Okay. So I don't know exactly what we can get back for Zach Wilson. I would guess it wouldn't be much, especially when you look at the situation of he's a reclamation project. Okay. And we all know that. Not only that, but his confidence, we've seen his confidence be completely shot. All right. So now you have to build up his confidence. So I don't know if there's any team in the league that really would be willing to part with capital to take Zach Wilson. And then you also got to look at the financial implications as well, right, that come with Zach Wilson. We know he's still in that rookie deal. If the Jets were to trade Zach Wilson, I believe they would save about $5.4 million, but we would have to take a $7 million dead cap penalty hit, okay? Now, that $5.5 million, thing that we would save would also be Wilson's cap figure for the acquiring team. So whoever we sent him to, they'd have to deal with that $5.45 million, okay? Now, at the Jets, if we can't find a partner for whatever reason, which, again, I don't know exactly where we would be able to send him, right? I don't know what team would be willing to take him on as a backup kind of reclamation project. If we can't, if we even look to release him, it wouldn't do anything for us, and we'd have an $11 million cap penalty. So if we release him, there's going to be some issues as well for us. $11 million dead cap penalty. That's what it would hit us. Now, I've floated out this idea in the past, and I don't know. I could see, maybe the Jets sitting down with them and saying, listen, we can't find nowhere for you to go. Aaron Rodgers is here. He likes you a lot. I'm sure y'all are sitting down and talking. How about we give you a 2-year extension? We lower your cap quite a bit, lower that cap number down, and sit you behind him for 2 years. And then guess what? At some point, right, you might have a chance to compete to be the starter again. But these next 2 years, we'll look into, definitely taking a young quarterback. I'm very sure the Jets are going to do that. and I'm very sure they're going to attack the backup quarterback market as well to bring in a veteran backup quarterback. But that'll give you 2 years behind Aaron Rodgers to soak in all of this offense, right? If everything works out the way we hope it will. You can sit back, soak in all the game. He'll give you everything. And then 2 years, you'll get your chance. And if it works out, cool. If it doesn't, then you can move on. I could see the Jets doing that. And that would benefit Zach Wilson too. I could see Zach Wilson's side coming to them and saying, hey, can we do that? This is just my thought process. This is just an idea that I floated out. But I don't know exactly who's going to take Zach Wilson. I really don't. I don't know who would trade for him at all. And I know that there's been a lot of talk about the Rams being a trade partner. I don't get that at all because Mike LaFleur, who was the New York Jets' former offensive coordinator, is the current offensive coordinator of the Rams. He's out there with Sean McVay. One of the reasons why he didn't work out here is because of Zach Wilson. He couldn't get Zach Wilson to take that next step. And, throughout the media, right, there was a lot of talk that it was very clear that the relationship between Mike LaFleur and Zach Wilson just fell apart. Fell apart on his way up out of here. He was one of the guys that started to say things like, as he was on his way out the door, that it would have benefited Zach Wilson to maybe sit and take some time behind a veteran quarterback. He was the first guy to come out and say that. That was the last year that he was here. So I don't think that happens either. All right? I don't think he goes to Rams. I don't know. I don't know exactly where he would go. I don't know who would trade for him. I don't think we would garner much capital. I would think maybe a 7th-round pick, a conditional 6th or 7th-round pick would probably be the way that we would go. That's just my thought process about it. I don't get it. All right? Salutes to Outlaw in the chat. Outlaw says, hopefully the Vikings pick up that phone. Raiders, please contact us to get Zach Wilson. Well, salutes to Outlaw. I don't know if that happens. I don't know. I cannot see where someone would want to grab up Zach Wilson and trade capital for him to bring him in and just be a backup quarterback. You couldn't do it, especially with the litany of guys that are already out there that are going to be, out there in free agency. And you're going to take a $5.4 million cap hit, almost $6 million for a guy that you're going to have to completely fix, even if he's called in to be a backup. I don't know, man. I don't know. So we're going to get to these lines. Again, 515-602-9639. 515-602-9639 is the number. Call in. We're taking all callers. Listen, when you call in, please make sure that your phone line's good to go. Make sure that you don't have crazy headsets on. Also, please turn me down if you are listening to your boy in your background. I appreciate y'all. All right? Also, please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so when I post content, you know. Please give the stream a thumbs up and share it across your social media with your friends and your family, okay? So, first caller we're going to get to, okay? First caller we are going to get to. We're going to 857. 857, Chris, we're coming directly to you. We're coming to Chris. And I know he's got some things to tell us. I know he's got some things to say, all right? For those of you that do not know, listen, this man, Chris, he's a savage.
Hey, Joe, what's up, man? Hey, what's
Chris,
up?
what's going on, man?
How you doing?
Listen, Chris. There's been a lot of things moving and shaking around here. The New York Jets are in. We are in the news as usual, right? We are in the news. Yep. Give me your thoughts. I want to start off with this Mecole Hardman situation first. What are your thoughts about him talking about contacting the Chiefs and, according to, Jets players, Sauce, it seemed like Kenny Yeboah coming out and saying that he leaked, the Jets game plan to the Eagles, and there's also rumors that he leaked it to the Chiefs as well. What are your thoughts about this whole situation with him, man?
Well, if other players, it's testament. Usually with the Jets, that kind of stuff would have revealed itself during the season. It's testimony that it came out this far, So you want to give them least credit for that, but that's disgraceful. Mecole Hardman's always been a class guy. He's never really, dogged teams. He's never really said anything. He's really been a guy that had a lot of integrity. I'm surprised that he went in on the Jets like that, because he really don't really say anything too much about anything else. I mean, I guess he's disappointed in his role, and he was beat out by Xavier Gibson. So that was the problem with him. He was upset about it, about being beat out by an undrafted rookie. But I mean, This is the NFL, man. Listen, like I said, just because you're a number one pick doesn't mean you have a right to stuff. You still got to earn it. And he was upset about it. So.
Yeah, that's a fact. And even more said, spoke up and said something like that as well. Getting beat out by, an undrafted guy, I'm pretty sure it's going to sting, especially when you're guaranteed money. But here's the deal. We all know that the Jets preach competition at every position. We know that, right? So you're going to compete for your spot. And if you ain't getting it done, bro, you ain't getting it done. But I would just, again, even some of the things that he said about the coaches, about the offensive, game planning and the lack of adjustments. And once Aaron Rodgers was down, things just kind of went haywire. I think we all kind of looked and said, hey, even though Xavier Gibson was stepping up, that there's possibly some kind of way that they would have utilized Mecole better. But I also think, and I talked about this earlier, that him refusing to return punts, I think could have soured his relationship with the coaching staff as well. I mean, don't you think that could have played a role?
Yeah, I think that, this is a team game. Nobody's promised a position. You're supposed to do what's best for the team. I'm sure Patrick Mahomes asked him to return punts. He'd do it. Andy Reid. So, I mean, what's the difference? I mean, getting on the field is getting on the field. I mean, if you return a couple of punts, that's it. But, I mean, for him, as a player that's been injured for years and years and years and years, who haven't really stayed healthy, has a problem with health over his life of his career, he's got to put something on tape. And if you put something on tape, that's how you keep your job, So, I mean, this is gonna affect his career. He shouldn't have said anything, man. He should have said, shut up and say, this didn't work out. Those guys, there's a great guys on the team, but he wants to, he's feeling himself because he caught that pass in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, he caught one pass. And then he, what I'm saying? I mean, everybody was drawing to Travis Kelce, and he caught one pass, and now he's Jerry Rice. I mean, come on, man. I mean, that's not like some great play that, like, what's his name, Amani Toomer, or that's not some great play where you catch it on your head, and you just did an in route where everybody was drawing to Kelce, and the game plan was there, and you had the best quarterback in the last 20 years to come out. I mean, you're not that special.
Yeah. Listen, he's feeling himself. I will say that. Man, I look at it and I just say, man, if he would have kept his mouth shut and just walked away and, take your ring, take your stuff and go on about your business, your life would have been, much better than it could be, going forward. Especially, again, I'm pretty sure that Joe Douglas is going to pursue making sure that the NFL gets all in their business with this situation with tampering with the Chiefs and him possibly, like he said, at least contacting the Chiefs to get him away from the Jets. Now, as we continue to talk about this football team, we continue to talk about the Jets, what are your thoughts about Joe Douglas coming out and saying that they are allowing Zach Wilson and his agent to seek a trade, man? What are your thoughts about that? And what kind of trade value do you think Zach Wilson even has?
I don't know what kind of trade value he has. Maybe we should force the Kansas City Chiefs to take him. Maybe we need to do that. Maybe we need to force say, hey, we'll probably say you got to take Zach Wilson off our hands. Zach is a guy that, I mean, when he came into the league, I never thought that he would be the guy that they thought he would be. One, his plays were splash plays. He had to learn how to play the game. And I didn't think that the competition he did within BYU was enough to solidify him as the second pick in the draft. I thought the Jets was going to draft a quarterback. I thought it should have been Justin Fields. You know that. I've said that on your show many times about Justin Fields. And I was pounding it for just. I said, this guy is from BYU. We don't know about him. He gets hurt a lot. You know, we don't know nothing about guys like that don't face competition and read defenses and stuff like that. We don't know them. So, you know, he's still learning as a quarterback. I mean, maybe sitting 2 years, like you said, behind Rodgers is the best thing for him, because you got to read defenses, man. You got to be a quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I know that there's a lot of people talking about, you know, moving on from him, especially again since Joe Douglas put this out. But I'm just struggling to figure out what team would actually trade for him. Like who's really going to give you capital for him? And I know that people bring up like Trey Lance and stuff like that, right? And the problem with that example is there was kind of a era of unknown about Trey Lance, because you figured, hey, does he have the talent? You know, he got hurt so much. They were like, hey, does he have the talent to do that? There's no real question marks about Zach Wilson and where he is, because he struggled so much. And not only struggled on the field where you saw the interceptions and the up and down play, there were flashes here and there, but nothing consistent. But then when you look at the confidence issues, when you look at, you know, he literally got up on I think it was a post game, you know, speaking with the media, and talked about how his confidence was just shot. He said it himself that his confidence was shot. And so it was like, dude, you're pretty much going to have to completely rebuild this guy, you know, completely. And then, again, the leaks coming from within the facility, whether you believe them or not, also about him, aren't going to help his trade value either. The same way that we can hear them, other teams around the NFL hear that stuff too. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't know exactly.
I think he's going to. I think they're giving them option to make a trade because, like you said, the plan is not to take any cap hit. The plan is to maybe stash him in the closet for 2 years. You know, see what he can do.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Well, so as we continue, you know, to go on, and we're talking about this football team and just where they're at, man, what are your thoughts about Joe Douglas also coming out and saying that they're not going to tag Bryce Huff as of now? I mean, could you see Bryce Huff actually walking away from this football team for nothing?
I think that they'll give him. But here's the thing, Joe, and this is what I've been thinking about. Teams around the league don't view Bryce Huff as like a pass rush. They look at the Jets defense with these guys up front that they have, like Jermaine Johnson, Quentin Williams. No, because this is the thing. This is the thing. You have Jermaine Johnson, you have Quentin Williams, you have the other gentleman, I forget his name. You have all these guys up front, and Bryce Huff is a rotation player. Okay, you're gonna double team Quentin, and Jermaine Johnson is a monster. Okay. There's no doubt about that. He's only going to get better. Okay, so you got this guy that's coming off the thing who can't rush the passer, but the thing is that he's a rotational player. How's he going to do every down? So he may be on his value may be only $10 to $15 million, which we can pay maybe 17, but to go up to $23, $24 million a year is crazy. We don't know how Bryce Huff is going to be when he has to play every down. Like, Jermaine Johnson is a monster, man. And Quentin Williams, you have to double team him all the time, and you still can't guard Quentin Williams. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, somebody's left open. I don't view Bryce Huff as a John Abraham. I view him some more like maybe a Calvin Pace type guy, because John Abraham could win one-on-one matchups. Like, he can put his hands in the ground and beat you off the thing, And I think we could get that out of, if he did leave, I think we could get 20 we can get 50% of that out of another pass rusher. And then what we could do is, I think Jermaine Johnson's going to become better. I think he's going to be.
Okay, so here's the thing, and I want to give the flip side to that argument. I want to debate this, because I don't think that teams around the league see Bryce Huff and don't think that he's a guy that can rush the passer. because they all have eyes. When you look at this, when you look at the breakdown, the statistics, when you look at a lot of the things around the league and what makes up from hurries to pressures and all of those things, all of the metrics, he's near the top of all those metrics, all of them.
Okay.
Right? Everyone around the league knows that Bryce Huff can rush the passer. If you listen to any, guys that are analysts, anybody, they all know that he can rush the passer and get after it. The issue with a lot of Jets fans talking about, well, he's not an every down player, we all know that the New York Jets have a heavy rotation. That's their defensive line plan. Does anybody forget when Jets fans were bashing Jeff Ulbrich because Quentin Williams was being rotated so much, and he literally came out, and this was when they first got here. He literally came out and said, we're going to do that because that's part of our scheme. That's how it works. And then people laid off of him for it. That's how it works. So none of our players are just playing every single down. It's always been a heavy rotation for everybody else. Here's the thing that I don't understand with Jets fans. Jermaine Johnson is a great player. He had 7.5 sacks this year. Bryce Huff was the only guy in double digits. If it's so easy to get sacked because Quentin Williams is in double team, how come nobody else has double digit sacks? How come nobody else does? If it's so easy, how come nobody else is doing it?
Let me explain it. When Jermaine Johnson is lining up on the line, okay, and like I said, in the scope of the offense, okay, you see Jermaine Johnson and you see. You're not really like I said. There's some guys you're like game planning for on the defense, like Myles Garrett. You're game planning for Myles Garrett. You don't know what you could do with Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett just will bust you over, no matter what you do. Quentin Williams is just a guy that just takes off the defense, in the scope of the defense. They just come at you all the time, and I think that for me. I think that I'm not saying that Will McDonald will replace him, but I think Will McDonald can get 7 sacks, and I think we can replace him with a thing. Now I'm saying we should pay him, but I'm not going to $25 million a year at the point of saying we're gonna because listen, this is say it. We're gonna lose on an offensive tackle, or you and other Jet creators are pounding the table about offensive line. We must fix the offensive. I don't know what that even means, is fix the offensive line when you have Zach Wilson as your quarterback. I don't know what that means.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second, Chris. Hold on a second. Here's the deal. First off, you don't have to delete Huff to be able to fix other issues or other areas on the team. You don't have to do that. I don't think we're going to have to pay $25 million. The franchise tag by itself is, I think it's $21 million. If it was that serious, they would just franchise them. They're not going to go up that high. But I do think 17 to 19 million is probably where you're going to land. But at the end of the day, you're talking about, and we've talked about before, you talked about next year being a Super Bowl or bust year for the New York Jets. All right?
It is.
Okay, it is. Quentin Williams, phenomenal player, but he's not enough to beat Patrick Mahomes by himself. He's not. Right. There's a reason why the Bills and the Ravens and all these other teams go and get pass rushers, right? Go get extra guys in the offseason because they know what time it is. And we need to know that as well. I understand what you're talking about. Listen, Jermaine Johnson is a great player. He is. He's a Pro Bowler. I love him. I'm hoping that Will McDonald takes the next step. I like him as well. I was one of the guys who was here live. I like the pick. But I want more. If we're talking about winning a Super Bowl, you need more. You need more. We're talking about Patrick Mahomes. Bruh, what about Lamar Jackson? He will destroy you if you don't find a couple of people that are going to be able to get after it and get to him. So, no, look, I get it. We're not going to have to overspend. I don't think we're going to have to go that crazy. I do think he's going to get some offers that are going to blow the doors off, and it's going to push us up. That's why I say like that $19 million range is that's the top of the range there. But here's the deal.
I think that's
you got to do what you can you got to do what you can to retain this guy, because if you don't, you're going to be in a lot of trouble next season. You're going to be in a lot of trouble, because I remember the days when we couldn't get to quarterbacks. I remember that. Like it was yesterday, and it was not fun watching us get scorched. And even with you talking about the offensive line, it's very simple and easy to fix. Everybody keeps talking about the offensive line and Zach Wilson. Yes, Zach Wilson is not a great quarterback. We all know that. But does anybody remember how Zach Wilson became the starting quarterback in the New York Jets? It was because the same offensive line allowed Aaron Rodgers to get mauled in game one. How are we constantly forgetting that? How are we forgetting that?
But this is
because I remember it.
But this is what I'm saying.
Fix the offensive line, go get a tackle, go get a guard, and then draft another tackle. Not that hard.
So let me debate
I'll give you the final word.
Let me debate you on the offensive line and other Jet creators. Okay, you guys everyone keeps talking about the offensive line and fixing the offensive line. Okay, you stuck a broken down Dwayne Brown on left tackle. Okay, if you have Mekhi Becton there, right? Is Aaron Rodgers injured? No, he's not. And I'm just saying that I'm up here, okay, in this area, okay, in this area where Tom Brady. I've seen Tom Brady have great offensive lines, right? Mm-hmm. The offensive line is great, but these guys when they leave, they're garbage. They're not that good. They're getting cut. And it's like, well, why was they so good? Because Tom Brady knew and got the scheme away. And that's one of the things that people got to understand about that and Nathaniel Hackett and all this stuff. Sometimes the offensive coordinator, like Josh McDaniels, didn't work as a coach. He sucks as a coach, but great offensive coordinator with Tom Brady. Byron Leftwich sucked as a thing, but he's a great quarterback with Tom Brady. Again, Adam Gase stinks, but he's good with Tom Brady. These are the things that we have to understand is that Aaron Rodgers is with Nathaniel Hackett, and he'll be good with Nathaniel Hackett because sometimes Rodgers sees things that he don't. I'm saying if they if they kept the same offensive line, okay, and they put Connor, the new guy that they drafted at Pittsburgh on the right-hand side, they'd be fine.
Connor,
you know why?
Warren.
Because
no, he wouldn't.
Yeah, because you know why?
He struggled too
you know
this
what?
year.
This is one thing. Why do you guys think that you could stick a rookie right in there and they're going to dominate? That doesn't happen on offensive line. That happens in wide receivers, running backs, and wide receivers. Offensive line, you have to take 2 or 3 years to learn.
That is not true.
As a draft back, who dominated?
Hold on, Chris. Mekhi Becton's first year here, he was very dominant, and he played at left tackle his rookie year. That blows up your argument. Right. You're talking about bringing Mekhi Becton back. You've been a guy talking about bringing him back. His first year is what we're all hanging on to because he showed so much unbelievable potential, right? And he was dominant in his first year. Everybody talked about it. So what are you talking about? And then the second part of that is Hold on a second. If Mekhi Becton had started at right tackle, right, or started at left tackle, who the hell would have been the right tackle? There was nobody over there. Don't give me Max Mitchell.
But I'm just saying, everybody's talking about
Don't talk to me about Carter Warren. He wasn't very good either. And Dwayne Brown doesn't play right tackle.
But you think Fuaga's going to come in here from? I know you out there in the Pac-10. You think he's going to come out here and deal against these guys like the guys from the Bills and these guys from Patriots, and he's going to blow these guys off? You really think that he's going to come in there and he's going to do it? You really think he can go at these guys?
Yes, I think he's going to be
solid.
I don't
think so.
Hold on a second, Chris. What I don't think you understand is I don't think we have much of a choice because I don't think you can sign a left tackle, a starting, right? If we're talking about like upgrading the line, I don't think you're going to be able to sign two top tackles in free agency and a guard. We don't have enough money to do that, especially if we're talking about bringing back Bryce Huff, especially if we're talking about bringing back Jordan Whitehead, especially if we're talking about bringing back Zerline and Morstead, which are all critical points. Those guys are not going to come back cheap, right? Especially not Huff. We just talked about 17 to 19 million. What the hell do you think these top tackles are going to want to get paid? They're going to ball out. Right. Are you insane? So how are you going to do all that? And then have enough capital to pass on a top tackle in this year's draft? You're not going to be able to do that. I personally believe, sitting right here, right now, that the New York Jets are going to try to address the offensive line in free agency. But I personally believe we're going to have a hole somewhere along our offensive line, whether it be right tackle or left tackle. And I believe we're going to have to draft that. And this is the perfect draft to do that because there's so many good tackles in this one. From Olu, who probably could be there. Some people talking about there's a chance that Joe Alt can move down. I don't think he'll be there when we draft, though. I think Olu can be there. I think Fuaga can be there. And a lot of people are not talking about Mims. It's this kid Mims from Georgia that nobody's talking about.
Yeah, he's good.
He's an option too.
He's good.
And I'm just bringing him up. I'm letting it be known that I've seen him as well, and I talked about him earlier, and he's the option. But that's what I personally believe is gonna happen. And if you skip on taking a tackle in the draft because you want to play around with the idea of bringing in Brock Bowers, Aaron Rodgers is going to be on the sidelines again next season, and everybody's getting fired. Because if that happens, the Jets are going to struggle. But I'll give you the final word, Chris.
Last thing. If we're taking a right tackle, I'd rather take the guy from Alabama over Fuanga. That's J.C. Latham.
Oh, you talking about Latham? I think you're talking about Latham, right? Latham.
Yes, I take Latham over him. That's it.
We'll see. We'll see if he's there. There's a lot of talk that 3 tackles come off the board before that. There's a lot of and we'll get in those discussions more as the draft comes. But we'll see. Listen, Chris, it was phenomenal speaking to you. Okay, next
all right,
time
brother.
I
Always
hear from you. All right. All right. You have a good one.
All right, bro.
Listen, we got to keep it moving. Lines is hot. I listen to everybody. I listen to everybody. For those of you that I go back and forth, Mike, you are next. I'll come to you in a second. I listen to everybody. If I don't like your takes, though, I'm going to definitely give you some pushback. That's what this is about. I embrace debate here. I embrace debate, and I go back and forth. And I'm going to let it be known. 515-602-9639. 515-602-9639 is the number. Call in. I am taking all callers. When you call in, be patient. I will get to you. Salutes to all the savages in the chat as well. Jay, I see you. Jay says, the bigger issue is playing time. If another team matches us on Huff, if they will offer more playing time, he is gone. That's an interesting point, but I don't know if that's necessarily true. It would depend on how he felt about that situation, because maybe the playing time that he's getting right now is significant enough, because he's gotten 10 sacks this season with the playing times that he's been given. All right? And especially going forward, there's a lot of talk about John Franklin Myers possibly being a guy that's on the chopping block. If they don't restructure him, that playing time could end up going up. Okay? You got 10 sacks getting around the bend, especially and you look at the defense that we have right now. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Things could get real nasty, okay? Could get real nasty depending on what the Jets do. We got Quentin Williams. You have a top defense. That's one thing that I'm sure Huff is looking at as well. He doesn't want to go somewhere else and fall off of a cliff, right? You still want to have that production. So if you can get paid and still stay in a scheme that has benefited you greatly, that has paid dividends for you on a coaching staff that we know that he likes, that could be the coattails that we pull, the heartstrings that we pull to keep him a Jet, along with the cash, though. He's made it very well known he wants to get paid, as he should. All right? We're going to get back to these lines again. 515-602-9639. 515-602-9639 is the number. Call in. We're taking all callers. Please give the stream a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so when I post content, you'll be in the know. If you want to give to the platform, Super Chat's there. Cash App is at the bottom of the screen. Anything you give is greatly appreciated. Mike, we're coming to you. Mike from Tom's River, okay? For those of you that do not know, Mike, listen, this man right here, Mike, is a pure savage. Mike from Tom's River salutes. I'm going back and forth, Mike, having a lot of fruitful conversations with Jets fans. Give me your thoughts about this situation with Bryce Huff. I'm a big proponent of keeping him on this roster, making sure that he gets paid. But Joe Douglas, has said, hey, they're not going to franchise him, but he's hoping to have productive talks with him in the future. Could you see Bryce Huff finding his way off this roster, the New York Jets basically getting nothing for him?
Well, anything could happen. I just seen a report in the New York Post where they were saying the Giants were going to sign him. We don't know because we don't know. We're not behind the scenes. They know. I have faith in Joe Douglas. I think he'll sign him. I think he'll get between 17, 18 million a year, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll get it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hoping that we get it done as well. And I know there's a lot of people talking about a lot of things and the rotation, and I don't understand it, man. Especially when we're talking about winning Super Bowls here. That's what every Jets fan is talking to me about. When Aaron Rodgers gets back in that saddle, that it's time to, giddy up and we better compete with all these top teams. Well, good luck facing, Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. And hell, even Josh Allen. If you don't have a consistent enough pass rush, if you don't have enough guys to get after those top guys, you're going to get cooked. Go into Cincy and face Joe Burrow without being able to consistently get after him. And I want you to see what he does to you. I want you to see what it feels like to get smoked up there against the Bengals. And then, then maybe you'll figure out how important pass rush is in this league. That's just how I feel about some things here. So as we continue to talk about this football team, though, Mike, Joe Douglas also spoke about allowing Zach Wilson and his agents to seek a trade. I mean, when you hear about this, right, what are your thoughts about it, man? I mean, what kind of trade value do you even think the Jets could demand in return for Zach Wilson in a trade, man?
I would trade him for a bag of footballs.
Man, listen, that's to be honest with you, that's I mean, that the best, a week at the Best Western, I've heard it all. I think it's going to be tough to get capital for him as well. Maybe a sixth, seventh round pick, maybe. It's going to be tough to kind of get some capital for him. Go ahead, break it down.
You know what's going to happen though? We're going to trade him, and then he's going to go on fire.
Where would you think that he would be able to go and go on fire though? Where would he be able to go though? I mean, what team could you even see him succeeding, or a team that would even want him? Is there a team out there that you think the New York Jets should try to target to send him to?
I don't think any team. With the Jets' luck, they'll trade him, and then he'll be like a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Well,
that's the luck we have.
Well, yeah, I mean, let me tell you something. He's been very up and down here. And again, I floated out the idea of him lowering that cap number and staying here. That's an option for the Jets, but even cutting him, man, that's going to cost us $11 million dead cap hit. Oh man, that would hurt. That would absolutely hurt.
And
now,
I like your idea about re-signing him for 2 years, or lowering his contract. You know, I like that idea too. You know.
Yeah. I mean, that's an option because, again, I think a lot of people lose sight as well that whatever team trades for him, not only do you have to give up the capital, which probably is going to be very little, but then you're also committing, I think it's $5.4 million, but then you have to figure out if you want to give him his fifth-year option. And I think his fifth-year option is like $22 million. Like, I cannot see a team being willing to do that. I can't see it. Now, with Sam Darnold, people talk about Sam Darnold, that was way different. Sam Darnold showed that he had some talent, but there was a lot of things going on with the New York Jets that you could point at that was the reason why he didn't work out here. So teams looked at him like, man, this guy has tremendous upside. It's just the Jets over there jacking up, same old Jets, right? Okay, cool. But this, it's like, it's rough to sell that, again, especially with the play, and then you look at, goodness gracious, the confidence issues, it's rough. It's really, really rough, man. So we'll see what happens going forward with him. But I just find it kind of tough that we're going to be able to move on for him and get a trade. I can't think of a team that would be willing to take him, especially with the fact that you can go out and really grab a veteran backup quarterback to come on in here and do your thing if need be. For a couple mil more than what you'd be paying Zach Wilson. I can't see that, but. Mecole Hardman also came out and had some things to say, Mike. Came out and talked about his displeasure with the Jets, talked about contacting the Chiefs, which is tampering. And there was also some Jets players that came out and accused him of leaking the New York Jets offensive game plan this past season to the Eagles. And also there was talks about him doing it to the Chiefs as well, that he gave them the New York Jets offensive game plans as well. What are your thoughts about all of this surrounding Mecole Hardman? And do you think that he's actually was the leak?
Let me tell you what. This reminds me of like Pete Rose. If he did that, he should be suspended from the league like forever. Like he shouldn't be even allowed to play again. And then it reminds me of the Spygate. Remember with the Spygate with Mangini when they had the tapes and everything, and then. Because the Patriots were the favorites of the NFL back then. They always protected them. Now the Chiefs are the darlings of the NFL. So, remember when Congress was going to get involved, and they want to look at the Spygate tapes, and then all of a sudden the tapes got destroyed. You know, it's the same way. If he actually did that and he talked to the Chiefs and everything, they'll do the same thing. They're like, oh nope, nothing happened here, nothing happened here. I think nothing will happen.
Okay, well, we'll see. I'm thinking that, you know, I think that Joe Douglas is going to try to tap the league and let them know, hey, something happened, and maybe he strikes up the investigation there in that way. But I mean, the man
they won't do it. They won't do anything.
No,
I guarantee they won't.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, the man literally said out his own mouth that he did it. But you know, maybe you could be right there, Mike. You could be right. Now, as we continue to talk about this football team, we saw, you know, that Laken Tomlinson was released recently from the New York Jets. That was the Jets' former starting left guard, and there's a hole opening there. Who do you think can fill that hole, man? I've been a big proponent of Vera Tucker moving into that spot. What are your thoughts? Is that something that you'd like to see next year, or would you want to see us go and attack that left guard position in free agency? What do you think about it, man?
No, I would put AVT there. It's the original spot where he should have been. He should never moved him. You know, is this his final year in his contract? I forget.
Yeah, I think it is, and then we can give him the 5th-year option coming up. There's a couple things we can do, but I think his 5th-year option is coming up next season, I believe.
So if he does good, I would sign him. I would sign him because
Mm-hmm.
he's been hurt for the last 2 years. You know, we can get him at a cheap deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's really good. He's a road grader. You know. Imagine him with Dallas Smith, left tackle and guard, and Pittman.
Mm-hmm.
We just like Bryce Huff, running to the left, boom, 10 yards.
Yeah, I mean
I think we'll get it done in free agency.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if AVT can stay healthy this season, in his last 2 years, he's been hit with these injuries. But if he can stay healthy, man, it's going to go a long way for this New York Jets offensive line, especially with some of the other pieces that I believe they'll add this upcoming, off season, and especially within the draft. Now, before I let you go, Mike, I know that you have been a big proponent of Bowers being drafted in the first round. We've gone back and forth, and I want to get your thoughts on that before I let you go. I personally cannot see a way that the New York Jets don't go into the draft with the need to take an offensive lineman in the first round. But give me your thoughts, man. What is so attractive about Bowers to you that would have you pass on an offensive lineman?
He's like a generational tight end. Even Mel Kiper in his latest draft, he had Jets taking Bowers. I can just see him being like the what's his name? Kansas City.
Travis Kelce.
I'm drawing a blank. Yeah.
Travis Kelce.
I can see that happen. Yeah, I can see that happen. You know what I mean? And I'm all for it. I'd be down for it. But we get Ridley, the wide receiver, free agency. You know, I think we'd be loaded. I mean, loaded.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've gone back and forth with a lot of people, and I've definitely heard, or clearly not just heard, but seen Brock Bowers. He clearly is. He's very good. He's a very good tight end, and I've heard a lot of Jets fans clamoring for him, and they want him. Monty will be coming to you next. I don't know, man. I can't see a way that the New York Jets end up going into the draft not needing some type of offensive line help, especially with a lot of the tackles that could be there for us to 10. And even though I like Brock Bowers and I think he's a good player, I like Bowers a lot. I think he's a good player. Look at it, man. Our needs are on the offensive line. It does depend on free agency, but it's tough for me to say that we're going to sign a top tackle or two top tackles because we need a left tackle and a right tackle as of now, and a guard in free agency, along with Huff, along with Jordan White.
I like Warren.
I
think we could plug Warren at right guard.
I saw Carter Warren. He's a guy that's definitely he's a young guy, but Carter Warren wasn't great either last season. And if you're depending on him to be the starter,
that was rookie year, though.
Yeah. So Joe Tipton's rookie year was last year too. His rookie year was last year too. He was a guard. Then he moved from guard to center, and Warren was not.
Well, he was a first round pick, and he was a fourth round pick.
Yeah, but listen, if you can upgrade that position, you absolutely do it. And I believe that there are upgrades in that position in this upcoming draft. And as much as I like Bowers, and I think he's a good player, first off, we already got like 4 tight ends, and we don't even utilize them correctly. We don't, okay?
Exactly.
We got 4 of them already. And Jeremy Ruckert, by the way, which every Jets fans love, and he was a Jet fan and his father Jet fan. So I don't understand why you guys have thrown him away.
I love him. He's good.
Yeah.
No, he's good.
You're the only one, Mike, because now I'm telling you, there's people that are ready to move on from him and just bring in Bowers. So it's like I'm watching Jeremy Ruckert. I'm watching Jeremy Ruckert come along. He's a guy that I think could be a target. We also got Tyler Conklin, who I think is really good too. And we also got Zach K.
That we 1, 2, 3.
Don't say his name. Okay, listen, Zach K. Don't say his last name because this is YouTube. They be getting crazy. Okay, Zach K. from ODU. Zach K. from ODU. All right, he's this big monster, and it's like, man, we already got 4 tight ends. We don't need another one. Okay, but I tell you what, if you don't protect Aaron Rodgers, you're going to be in a world of hurt because I watched his Achilles explode live on TV, and it was not fun, and it ruined our entire season with that happening. And also,
that was Paul Hackett's fault. That was Paul Hackett's fault.
I mean, it wasn't just Hackett's fault. This offensive line needed work.
Well, no, because the 2 of the 4 plays that they did the chop block. They did the chop block on the left tackle and the right tackle. And the one with chop block on the left tackle, that caused the Achilles.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, but Aaron Rodgers was running for his life. Well, but
who does a chop block with the left tackle?
They did it. They did it. So I don't know. I just can't see it. I just can't see it right now, but we'll see. Listen, Mike, I got to slide off. I want to thank you for calling in. Next time I have a show, I want to hear from you, all right?
No problem.
All right, you have yourself a good one. We're going to keep getting to these lines again. 515-602-9639. 515-602-9639 is the number. Call in. We're taking our callers. Next, we're going to Monty. Monty, I know, has quite a bit to say about this situation, okay? For those of you that do not know, Monty, listen, he is a savage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Monty salutes. I'm going back and forth with a lot of people talking about some people want Brock Bowers over offensive line help in the draft. I'm not a big
whoever wants that is just they don't understand football. They want Brock Bowers. They just don't understand football.
I didn't say that. Monty did. For everyone that is listening,
I did. Brock Bowers, he might be a good prospect, but for the Jets, it just really doesn't make any type of sense. I don't understand. You got Tyler Conklin. You got Jeremy Ruckert. If you need offensive line help, you need receiver help. Like, why would you draft a tight end? Like, I don't understand it. But
oh man, Monty,
a lot of people who don't understand football.
Monty coming out the gate with it. Okay, well look, I think we're in agreement that we don't need Bowers, like you said as well. I'm a big proponent of offensive line help, as we all know. You talked about wide receiver help as well, which I hope to, address at some point during the draft. And I've also said too, I'm on a record, if you take Bowers, he'll be, pretty much useless like Garrett Wilson and Bryce Huff have been at times in this offense if you don't have the offensive line protecting people. Garrett Wilson should easily have like 1,500 yards. He should have had that because he's open all game. He's literally open all game.
Easy.
But
easy. And the thing is,
they can't throw him the ball because it's okay. They can't throw him the ball because they're running for their lives because there's guys right in our quarterback's face when he takes a snap because nobody can block. So listen, you need to make sure that Aaron Rodgers is protected, especially if you want to win a Super Bowl. So for me, offensive line.
Right.
If not, you trade back if a guy's not there that you want, and you take the next guy. But you cannot tight end just.
No, you can't. You can't do it.
I'm not saying that people don't know football. Monty said that.
The
not
Jets'
me.
problem
but
is
go ahead, Monty.
they historically have had a offensive philosophy problem, coaching in general. They don't know. They don't understand how to use the talent in which they already have on their team. They don't know how to coach up the talent, offensive line, receivers, running back. We've never had a offensive coach that can put everything together. So my whole thing is it definitely starts with the offensive line, Joe. But I feel like even the offensive players that we've had the last year or so, I feel like they're not scrubs. I give you a lot of flack for Mecole Becton, like one in Mecole Becton. Mecole Becton is no scrub. Laken is no scrub. AVT is no scrub. Our whole problem is we have failed at the number one position, and I think it's important. Coaching, offensive coaching. If you can't come up with a scheme, if you don't understand how to use your players correctly, you're never going to succeed. We have failed in not, like, you can have as many top offensive line guys in the league as you want. But if there's no type of continuity, if they don't know what they're doing, if they're not playing as one unit, and the offensive line, you have to play as one unit. And it seems watching them play football, they just don't understand what they're doing. A lot of that has to do with injuries. A lot of that has to do with coaching. And if you can't get both of those together, your offensive, it doesn't matter who you have. You can have a Joe Alt. You can have Fuaga. You can have all these guys. If you don't know how to have that unit gel as one, move as one, block as one, you're never going to be able to succeed. We have never figured that out, man. I just don't. I just don't understand what it is, because I look at the offensive line. We don't have scrubs. They may look like they're scrubs. Like Laken, I've seen Laken Tomlinson play well with the 49ers.
With the Niners. Yeah, he was.
Right.
He was.
They were playing.
I watched
I've
him.
seen guys leave. Remember Kelvin Beachum, Brandon Shell, like all those guys, man. I've watched them go to other teams and play well, still be in this league. George Fant played well last
I was about
year.
to say.
Yes. I've seen it.
Here's the thing, Monty, and I understand what you're saying. I think the injuries, as we all well know, right? Injuries ravaged the Jets' offensive line. At the end of the day, Laken Tomlinson did not work out here. Okay, he just didn't. He wasn't good when from the day one. He just wasn't good when he got here. I watched him get literally taken from the line of scrimmage and put into a quarterback's lap in like the first game. It was insane, and from then on, it was just bad. But I'm looking at the situation, and I'm saying to myself, right? With that left guard spot opening up now, in my mind, I think that this is the prime time to take Vera Tucker and put him back at left guard, right? I know people want to play with the right tackle stuff. No, they want to play with the left tackle. I
don't like that.
I don't like it. Okay, I don't like it. I know I'm an SC fan. Stop talking to me. I know he played tackle. I get it. But here's the deal. I want to see him put back at left guard. He was dominated right guard. He's been very good everywhere he's been. But I think left guard would be just the perfect fit for him to play and stay for the rest of next season and call it a done deal. What are your thoughts on that? Because some people are calling me crazy, telling me, no, Joe, we need to kick him back out to right tackle. I want him at left guard. I want him to stay there. What are your thoughts about that, Monty?
So I'm glad you said that. That's our number one problem. He's versatile. Like Vera Tucker is versatile, but we drafted him to be a left guard. We should not even have this conversation of him playing right tackle. The fact that we're having him play right tackle is an indictment on Joe Douglas. He should never have been playing right tackle. We should have the correct depth to have somebody behind whoever was playing right tackle and got injured. We should have somebody behind them ready to go. Not move our first round guard and have him playing tackle. It's retarded, man. It's and this is why we have the problems on the offensive line. It's like you have a guard playing tackle. That's a big, like, people, like, linemen normally linemen don't do that. We're just lucky that we have Bear Tucker, and he's versatile enough to play both at, somewhat like a high level. We're lucky to be able to have that, but he's not a tackle. He's a guard.
Yeah.
So
well,
we put
I
our
remember
out of position, and we expect for them. We expect, okay, we're going to move somebody else into the guard position. And we expect them to play at a high level, and it just throws everything off. Our problem is we don't have that left tackle or right tackle anchor to be like, okay, you don't have to worry about this position because this person is going to be healthy. This person is going to hold down this side. He's going to solidify this position so the other four positions, center, guard, other tackle spot, they don't have to worry about everything else because we have this guy at left tackle holding it down. We haven't had an anchor since the Brickashaw Ferguson.
Yeah.
To where you can put in every single week and you don't have to worry about his side. Until we get that, there and people talk about who we should draft between Fuaga and the guy from Penn State. None of those guys are anchors, Joe. They're not. They might.
You don't think Fuaga would be a solid option at right tackle?
They're not anchors.
Or
there's a difference between. No, those guys are not anchors.
All right. Well, give us who your anchor is.
There's a difference between a left tackle and an anchor. What's the guy's name from Dallas Cowboys? You
talk about Tyron Smith?
He's an anchor. It's a reason why Dallas Cowboys line is good every single year. Granted, he has an injury history, but there's a reason why they're good every single year because you can put him out there every single season, and you don't have to worry about his side or his responsibility. The Jets have.
Well, they got a couple good offensive linemen over there. They got Zach Martin. They got Jerry Jones didn't play around.
They do.
Jerry Jones didn't play around, bro.
Yeah, they do, but they have an anchor. He's been there for a while. You know, you can plug everybody else in, but you have to have your anchor first. You got to have the guy who's going to solidify that, and so when you plug other guys in, you don't have to worry about it. We don't have an anchor. We got Vera Tucker, who was playing guard 1 second, playing left tackle, injured. Now we don't even know who we have. Yeah. So until we find that guy, I think there's one guy in the draft that's an anchor, and that's Joe Alt. He's the only one I see as an anchor where you can put him in at day one, and he'll be able to solidify your line to where you can go out and grab other guys. And if the coaching is good, if the coaching improves, it has to improve a lot. But if the coaching improves, your offensive line is solidified. Until we get that guy, our offensive line between the lineman and the coach, it's going to look the exact same, man.
Yeah, well,
Aaron Rodgers can only mask so much.
Me personally, I don't. Look, Alt is phenomenal, and he's going to be great. But I don't think he's going to be there. Definitely not at 10. I think he's going to be gone long before 10. But I think that Olu and Fuaga would be great options for the New York Jets to tackle. I think Olu is a day one tackle, day one right tackle, day one left tackle, wherever you want to put him. I think Fuaga is absolutely
serviceable.
Would be a great right tackle.
I'm not saying that they're not good, Joe. I'm not saying that they're not good, but I'm just saying, I think that they'll be serviceable tackles to where, they'll be good, but I don't think that they're anchors. You need an anchor at left tackle to be able to solidify your line, and we have not had that.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
We
Now,
need a
as we go
Brickashaw
to the next,
Ferguson. Those guys aren't the Brickashaw Ferguson.
well, the Brickashaw Fergusons don't grow on trees, okay? And you never know. We'll see again what happens going forward, but I hear your take. Now, give me your thoughts quickly about Bryce Huff. Joe Douglas says that at this point they're not going to use the franchise tag on Bryce Huff. I'm a little concerned that the Jets are going to end up possibly losing him and losing him for nothing. What do you think is going to happen? Could you see Bryce Huff end up walking away from the New York Jets and the Jets basically get nothing back for him?
Well, unfortunately, when the Jets drafted Will McDonald, we kind of put the nail in the coffin for Bryce Huff. There's no way that you can go out. Yeah, man. Because we're. Yeah, I mean, why are you going to allocate?
What that take is really quickly. Here's what, and I've heard multiple Jets fans say this. Once they drafted Will McDonald, it was over for Bryce Huff. Then why in the hell was Will McDonald deactivated for so many games? If that was the nail in the coffin for Bryce Huff, right? Because everybody, Joe Douglas is in the know, in the know. He's the guy making the decision. So if you know that this guy,
let me cut you off real quick.
If you know that this guy is the guy, then you better play him. Go ahead.
Hold on. I'm gonna let you finish. So I just wanted to just make sure I caught this real quick. So you said, why did they deactivate Will McDonald, right?
Why did they not play him?
Didn't we deactivate Bryce Huff the first 3 games last season?
I can't remember that. I can't remember that. If we didn't.
We did. 100% we did. We deactivated the first 3 games and our defense was crap. And then we activated Bryce Huff because everybody thought Bryce Huff had some juice to him in preseason. And we deactivated him and wondered why he wasn't getting any type of any playing time. We were wondering that. They did that last year with him. So that you can go ahead, but I just want to say this coaching staff in general, I just don't understand the moves that they make. The GM as well. I honestly don't understand why they do the things that they do. We saw in preseason Bryce Huff had some juice to him. We saw that. Then he went the whole season, and we saw that this dude has some potential. Then we go out and we draft Will McDonald, and we still see Bryce Huff playing at a really good level, and we don't extend him. We could have extended him last year, unless we did. We tried to offer him something, and he just didn't like the offer. And he just didn't want to re-sign with us. And we said in the offseason, look, we're just going to draft a DN so we don't get into, we're just going to let him walk. That's the only thing that I can think about. But when we drafted Will McDonald, I honestly thought it was over for Bryce Huff, and we weren't going to re-sign him.
So Monty, and here, listen, we hold people accountable here. Bryce Huff, what I remember, that's what I was thinking when you said it was deactivated the first 3 games. He wasn't. He played in that game against Buffalo, and I rememed it. He actually had 2 tackles in that game. He was playing in that game when we won that game.
No,
sure.
I'm saying last year.
Are you talking about 2023 season or the season before that, or 2022?
23, not this past season, but the year after, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, when we played. Remember when we played the Ravens last year? We played the AFC North the first 4 games. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, but even in that, right? If you look at this situation this season, 2023, because he played all the games in this season, when you drafted Will McDonald, and you knew, hey, listen, he's going to be the guy going forward because Bryce Huff, you know what he's going to do. There's no way that you can have Will McDonald sitting on that sidelines, not playing. And then even when they did have him out there, he was out there sparingly. It wasn't like Will McDonald was playing, out there even crazy within the rotation. So it's like, bro, if you know he's the guy going forward, you better figure out who this guy is before you move on from Bryce Huff and just say, hey, year 2, you better step up, and it's Super Bowl or bust year for you. I think that's a bad idea, and I don't want to see the Jets move on from Huff, and I get it. you're going to have to pay him. But that's what happens when you have a guy come up the way that he's come up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you bring in talent,
right.
the likes of him, you better make sure that you're ready to do that. So quickly before
right.
I let you go, Monty, give me your thoughts on Mecole Hardman possibly leaking game plans really quickly because I'm going to have to move on.
So I honestly don't think he leaked any type of game plan. I don't. Mm-hmm. I honestly don't believe that.
Okay.
I think people can suspect it all day, every day, but I don't think he's that type of person to where he would want to leak a game plan just because he's not getting the playing time in which he wants. He just doesn't seem like that type of dude. I don't know. I stand by that. I stand by from what he said. I believe everything that he said. I mean, a lot of people are mad at the messenger, but they're not listening to the message in which he said. Everything he said about us was true, 100% fact. And I hate that I have to agree with it, but it's everything that I see and I believe as a Jets fan. The last 4 or 5 seasons of Joe Douglas, everybody has something negative to say about the Jets once they leave. And that, if it's maybe one person, I can see it. But it seems like from the Le'Veon Bells to the Jamal Adams to everybody who leaves, man, this organization is poorly ran, man. And sometimes, man, I get sad to say and sad to watch, my team play and prepare in the off season and watching Bob Saleh coach this team where there's no type of accountability. We enable losing. We make excuses for losing. Then you got to listen to Joe Douglas come up at the press conference at the combine and say, "Oh, I like where the culture is headed." Like the culture of what? We're losing, and you're okay with that. You're okay with that. You like the culture of losing. We make excuses.
Listen.
He strikes out.
Listen.
He strikes. Man, look. If Joe Douglas, this is my thing about with Joe Douglas, man. Especially last season, bro. If he would have, it's like I look at it like a batter, bro. If you gonna strike out, man, strike out swinging. Man, he struck out looking. He saw 3 pitches and looked. How many opportunities did you need did you need to go and get a backup quarterback? He struck out looking. All gas, no brakes from our head coach, right? All gas, no brakes. All gas, no break. This dude talks every cliche in the book, and he enables losing. He sits there on the sideline, and he just like a blank stare. So you got your head coach who doesn't show any type of emotion, and you got your GM who strikes out looking. I'm so as a Jets fan, bro. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I had to vent, man.
I get it. Listen, man. That's what I'm here for. But I got to slide off. I want to thank you for calling in. Next time I have a show, I want to hear from you. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Listen, we got to keep these lines rolling. Next, we are going to Val. Val, we're coming directly to you. Chat, I will come to you in a second. Savages, I see you. I'm going to come to you in a second, okay? JGVH, I'll come to you in a second. But we got to get to Val. The shenanigans have begun. For those of you that do not know, Val is a savage, okay? Listen, man. Val salutes. I'm having arguments. I'm going back and forth with a lot of people. Man, oh, man. It's been a night, all right? I'm arguing with people about the Jets offensive line.
It's been a week.
I'm arguing with people about It has. Mecole Hardman comes out, says a bunch of stuff on the pivot. Jets players accuse him of leaking, information about the game plan to the Chiefs, Eagles. What are your thoughts, man?
Oh, don't forget about the Buffalo offensive lineman just coming on Vlad TV and just, shunning out the whole team. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
It's a lot, man. All right, what was the first question? I'm sorry about that. And thank you for having me, Joe. And shout out to the Savages. I hear y'all, man. We got to this point.
Yeah. Mecole Hardman leaking information about the Jets to the Chiefs and Eagles.
Okay, yeah. So, listen, if that is true, he is absolutely wrong about that. I do not agree with that. But listen, the message, as everybody else is saying, he's absolutely right. I mean, as a Jets fan, they basically punted on the season. The offense looked at lethargic, like they didn't know what to do. They were just like, Aaron Rodgers went down. Well, I guess the season is over. That's basically how it just happened, and they had Zach Wilson. That was a non-factor, basically. He showed up a couple of games, but he's not really that guy, And then they had Tim Boyles. Tim Boyles, he knows the system. And obviously he was bad. I mean, you've seen that in the preseason. We've seen that as fans, but I guess the GM and the coaches, they didn't know that. But listen, he was absolutely right. And on top of that, he said that the defense was more – they had, the leadership was more together. They had everything together. They knew their position. They knew exactly what to do. And it's just the offense just doesn't know what to do, So he was absolutely right about that, especially when he was talking about Nathaniel Hackett without even saying his name. He's like, man, we just had a guy that just got fired. He comes over here, Aaron Rodgers went down, and it's just like, oh, well, I don't know what else to do. That's how the game plan basically looked. It was like elementary when we went against Miami, it was terrible. That was a terrible game plan, both games. It was just basically basic play.
Yeah.
And it was god-awful,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's rough, man. It was rough, and but the only thing that annoyed me, hearing him talk about the Chiefs and contacting the Chiefs, which is clearly tampering, hearing him talk about how he wouldn't return punts for Boyer when asked, a lot of that stuff. It's crazy because we were all talking about, like, hey, why isn't he being utilized? I think that stuff with Boyer definitely soured his situation with the Jets and with the staff. And I think that they, were looking to get him on up out of there. And when the opportunity came, they moved on, especially with Xavier Gibson handling business the way he was handling business. Now, as we continue to talk about this team, because we are getting short on time, pal, Zach Wilson.
Oh, okay.
Joe Douglas came out and said that he is allowing Zach Wilson, his agent, to look for a trade, man. What are your thoughts? What kind of value do you think we could get back for Zach?
Finally. Thank God. Listen. I've been waiting for this since last year. I wanted to move on from Zach Wilson since last year, and hopefully, the Giants contact us, the Raiders, the Steelers, possibly, even the Panthers. They probably need a backup and stuff like that. And he's up for grabs. I'm tired of us babysitting a quarterback. The guy needs to move on. I'm basically with Joe Namath. Joe Namath is done with him as well, too. So it's basically like he needs to go and learn something somewhere else. We need to stay focused and get this team together, get a real backup, Prescott, Gardner Mitchell, somebody that is a real backup, somebody, that is capable. And if we're going to go all out and we're going to try to win a Super Bowl, we have to do it that way. Let's take the past. Let's forget about 2023, hopefully, but we can't discard it like it just punted on a whole season. Of course, there's going to be some blowback and some former players and some recruits, like Odell Beckham came out and said about the team and stuff like that. It's been a lot of, questions and a lot of, people coming out about the Jets. So, it wasn't going to be all pretty like how they was basically making it seem like, oh, yeah, nobody's going to be fired. Everybody's going to be good and we're going to just sit still. No, that's not going to happen. It never happens like that with an organization, especially that this team should – listen, Joe, this team should have went to the playoffs this past season. We basically punted on the season, sincerely. Yeah. We should have definitely got a capable backup. We would have definitely been in the playoffs, hands down, the way how our defense is playing. But, yeah, go ahead, Joe. I don't want to be long-winded.
No, yeah. I mean, listen, if we would have just our offensive line, the way that it was functioning was so bad, too. That's a big part of it. I think a lot of people – look, the backup quarterback stuff, yeah. I mean, Tim Boyle was struggling. We saw Trevor Siemian struggle. But the way that this offensive line was playing, I don't think anybody I mean, we saw what happened to Aaron Rodgers. I don't think anybody would have succeeded behind this offensive line and the way that they looked. It was atrocious at times. But quickly,
you would have had to have that mobile quarterback.
Yeah, okay. Somebody that's going to, just run away from pressure. It was insane. But quickly, before I let you go, because we're short on time, man, I'm looking at this situation. Left guard wide open with Laken Tomlinson now being released. What are your thoughts on it? And do you think that Vera Tucker could be moved back to left guard, man?
I hope. Listen, AVT deserves to be in his position that he was drafted on. I hope I'm rooting for that to happen. Laken Tomlinson, he absolutely needed to go and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I mean, because he wasn't producing for the money that we was giving him, and it just doesn't end. You didn't even ask this question, but I know we're short on time and everything. And Bryce Huff, that situation right there as well too. Yeah. It just feels like they're not motivated to bring him back. It just really feels like they're not really motivated to bring him back. I feel like they're about to move on from him and just let him get his money because they got to bring in like a whole bunch of offensive line help, and they're gonna go with Will McDonald with his right or wrong, and hopefully he steps up big time. I believe we should re-sign. I'm with you on this. I absolutely believe we should re-sign. It just escaped me. Huff, Bryce Huff. We should absolutely bring back. Yeah, we should absolutely bring back Bryce Huff because just like you said, we had a whole bunch of history of not us getting quarterbacks and stuff like that, bringing that pressure, and Huff definitely brings that pressure with these mobile quarterbacks that you've seen in this past playoff season. But that's it, Joe.
Listen, Val, I want to thank you for calling in. Next time I have a show, I want to hear from you. All right.
Absolutely, Joe. Thank you for having me. Everybody likes to subscribe to Joe, and like I said, as always, anything he says at the end is definitely defamation, and it's not true. No proof.
Oh my goodness. Everything I say about Val is true, okay? We're getting short on time, but I want to quickly address the Savages. Jay salutes in the chat. Savage says, I would take a can't-miss prospect over a coin flip O-lineman any day. The O-linemen don't always translate to the NFL. The college game is different now, so a lot of them don't run pro systems. He's talking about one to bring in Bowers. I don't think that these guys are coin flip O-linemen. I think a lot of these guys, especially Olu, Fuaga, Alt, a lot of these guys can come in and be starters. And you could say the exact same thing about tight ends as well. There's a lot of tight ends that were great in college that come in and struggle in the NFL. So if it's a need here, right, because Brock Bowers is not going to matter if Aaron Rodgers is on his back most of the game. He won't matter. The same way that Garrett Wilson and Bryce Hall often don't matter. So in certain games, right, we know that they're good players, but we can't get them the ball because nobody can block. So I get it. And also GVH talked about a whole different conversation, maybe another Friday. But, Joe, what do you think the Jets invest in any of the running backs in the free agent market? Can't do much without an offensive line, though. We'll see. There could be some free agent running backs, some low-cost guys that could be brought in to help us. But I got to shut down. Listen, I'm the man of the people. I'm here for the people. Let me show you to promote my Facebook page. Everyone go on Facebook, search The Long Beach Joe Show. Like that page. My content's up there. Go ahead and give it a listen. Message me. I'll message you right back. I love going back and forth with you folks about the football team. Also, leave me some feedback. I love hearing about you folks think I do here on The Long Beach Joe Show. I'm also on Twitter as well, at The Long Beach Show, at The Long Beach Show. Okay? Go ahead and follow me. I'll follow you right back. I'm the troll that lives under the bridge, and I will have my jersey on at all times. That Vera Tucker jersey will be there, and I am the troll will be there, okay? I'm also on YouTube as well. Going over to YouTube, type in Long Beach Joe Jets, Long Beach Joe Jets on YouTube. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, so when I post content, you folks will be in the know. And as always, people, when you see me in person, because you will see me, it is arms out, chest open, free hugs for everyone. Free hugs for everyone. The hugs will cost you absolutely nothing. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to call in, interact with your boy any way that you do. You folks will be absolutely best. Without you, I'm absolutely nothing. Thank you again for interacting with me any way you do. Until the next show, you folks have a good one. Peace.